Good morning, people. You're here with Shyloe Fayad, Certified Transformational Life Coach, and you're watching Real Lives, Real People with Shyloe. I'm so happy you've joined us on this Sunday, beautiful Sunday morning. And look, today I'm actually kind of dressed up. No ball cap, no pigtails, because I'm going out for brunch with a couple of girlfriends to the Bohemian. And it's an awesome place for brunch people if you ever want to go. So today we have Lan Kelley on, and I'm really excited because I don't know Lan very well. I like her a lot, but I don't know her very well. And I'm hoping through this process, I can get to know her well too. So let's bring her out right now. Let's bring her out. There we go. There she is. Hello, Lan. How are you this morning?
Hi, Shy. Good.
Good. So, I just thought I'd jump right into it. I'm going to retell that story I just told you before it started, and maybe we'll have a bit of discussion about how cool that is. I met Lan because, is it your brother? Is Donnie your brother? Okay, so Donnie, my boss, and his wife, they own the Marmalade Cat Cafe. And so I met Lan at Marmalade. I work at Marmalade Cat Cafe once a week and if you've never been, you really need to go because it's an awesome coffee shop, right, Lan? Hey, look,
yes.
Sarah's saying hi. Hi, Sarah. So I met Lan at the Marmalade.
Best.
We've never really had a chance to connect, but I'm super excited. And I wanted to tell this story because we both have worked at the Marmalade. I think it was last time I worked, so maybe last week sometime. Maybe it was last Monday. Yeah, I think it was last Monday, actually. So we're really busy in the Marmalade, like super duper busy, probably from the time we walk in almost lots of times to the time we leave, in the kitchen and out front. And at one point in the morning, Jerry gets a phone call. So this is one of the ladies that works in the back in the kitchen. She's amazing too. She gets this phone call. She's
amazing.
Yes, amazing, right? Like totally selfless. Totally amazing. So she gets this phone call, and she's at the front, and I see her staring at all the muffins, and she's nodding. So she takes out of this one of our Morning Glory muffins, which is one of the nicest muffins we have there. I mean, all of our muffins are the best in town. I'm a bit of a muffin aficionado. Like, there's a word that means you're like a muffin, like, expert or something. Something like that. I love muffins, and I've tried a lot of muffins, and the Marmalade muffins are the best. So, and this is not an advertisement for Marmalade, people. I just love it there so much. Okay, so Jerry gets this phone call, so she takes out the muffin. Pardon?
It's a really good place.
It is. It's a really good place because it feels good to be there. That's part of it, right?
It's got good energy.
Yes, it does. So Jerry takes this Morning Glory muffin out. She sticks it in the bag. She puts on a little sticky note, or maybe she just tells me, I can't remember, Patty, 11 a.m. So this is at 10. So this woman named Patty, and Patty, if you're watching the show, yes, we're talking about you. This woman named Patty calls and wants this muffin for 11 a.m. So 11 a.m. comes and goes. There's no Patty for this Morning Glory muffin. And in the meantime, our muffins are selling like hotcakes that day. I don't know why. I've never seen them move quite so fast, but they are selling like hotcakes. So I go in the back and I say to Donnie, Patty is not showing up for this muffin. I think I'm just going to stick it out. He's like, all right, just do it. So 12:30, we stick this muffin out. We only have like 2 or 3 fruit and fiber muffins left with this Morning Glory now that I've dumped out of this bag. I haven't touched it, people, so it's still totally clean and ready to be sold. And then there's might be a scone or a couple cinnamon buns. So around 12:45, so about 15 minutes after I do this gentleman walks in and orders a Morning Glory muffin. And I say to him, you are one of the luckiest guys around. He's like, why is that? I'm like, because had you come here a few minutes ago, there wouldn't have been a Morning Glory muffin out because it was in a bag waiting for a woman who hasn't come to pick it up. And I just dumped it in there. And if you notice, there's no other muffins really for sale. He's like, yeah, wow. He said, I guess I'm pretty lucky. I was like, this is so great. You get to have your Morning Glory muffin today. He said, yeah, it's really great actually because it's for my friend. I was like, it is? He's like, yeah, I have a friend in the hospital who all he wanted was a Morning Glory muffin from the Marmalade Cat Cafe. And so people, I was kind of like getting irritated because there was some other woman who had wanted muffins and hadn't picked them up yet either. And I was like, what's with these muffins? Why aren't people getting them? Whatever. But you know what? The universe works in very mysterious ways. So this man at the hospital in Kelowna wanted a Morning Glory muffin. And so I know some people might say, oh, he was just lucky. But I Choose to think that it was entirely synchronistic, that somehow the universe that conspires for our goodness every single day arranged it so that Patty ordered this muffin, wasn't able to make it 11, and I found out from a coworker that she actually did show up around 12:30, but couldn't wait in line, so she left. So when I put this muffin out, this gentleman who came to pick up this specific muffin for his buddy at the hospital was able to make his day by having that muffin. What do you think of that story, Lan Kelley? What do you think of that story?
Serendipitous.
Unreal, right? I could not believe it.
It happens for a reason. It's crazy.
It is crazy because I honestly have to say I was kind of irritated. I was like, what? What's with this muffin? And then there's some other woman who had ordered like 8 muffins and they were still sticking in a bag. And after this happened, it kind of like, it was sort of a way for me to give my head a bit of a shake. It's like, just because we think something should be a certain way, or just because we have an expectation that something's going to turn out in the way that we think it should turn out, so that Patty should have picked up her muffin at 11. But instead, she didn't. And the result of that was probably even more beautiful than what would have happened had she picked it up at 11.
Right? I don't think she would have. It probably would have like fallen on the ground or something had she had it or something. I don't know.
Who knows?
But
Who knows?
It's the universe works that way, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, I've been trying to pay attention to these things because as a person who has suffered from depression and who can also get in a negative mindset, because let's be honest, I live on a planet where negativity is the most popular thing around. It just is. People love to gossip, talk about their friends, talk about all the bad stuff that happens. I've been trying to pay attention to the good stuff. So, working at Marmalade, here's another good story. The day before I went to work, my headphones, my cat chewed through them, and I finally realized, no, Shyloe, you cannot use these headphones to be talking to clients anymore because they can't really hear you. You need a new set. Working at Marmalade, I decide, okay, I'm going to go set up the patio furniture because that's the last thing that needs to be done. Guess what I find sitting on the bench? 7:30 in the morning, a new pair of headphones with a microphone.
Oh my God.
I'm not even joking. This stuff happens. This is for real. This stuff really happens on the planet if you're paying attention.
Yeah. Your time need to be like in headspace, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because when you're not, then everything just passes you by and you just you're not grateful for anything.
No.
Really, right? Because that's what it comes down to, I think.
Gratitude.
Is gratitude.
Yeah. I recently wrote a blog post about that. I've been reading The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles because I worry about money.
Yeah.
It's a useless endeavor. Let's be totally honest. It's a useless endeavor worrying about money. How's that going to help, Lan?
It is. It's not good.
So in The Science of Getting Rich, one of his primary tools for staying in the flow of stuff coming to you is gratitude. So, yeah.
See, you have to, and then you start noticing all these things.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard because, like, you're right. When you turn the TV on or the radio on, it's all that negative, and it's hard to get out of that.
Yeah.
Once you're in that flow, it's hard to get out of it.
Yes. And that flow is like an undertow. Right. That's what I like to say. It's like, stay away from the undertow. It's just like going to sweep you out of any good place you're in.
It's like a riptide or whatever it's called.
It is. It's like a riptide. Because everybody's addicted to it. Yeah. It'll take you out. Because really, as a culture, we're addicted to it. And I talked about that in my webinar this week because our bodies have a negative bias. Like, we are predisposed to negativity, which I didn't know until I took my transformational life coaching course. And the reason that is in place is because we needed to be so super connected to that fight or flight response in order to survive all these years, right? Otherwise, we would have just all been eaten by animals and they'd be at the top of the food chain, I guess, which might actually, in fact, not have been such a bad thing, Lan.
Yep. Oh my God.
What do you I have a question I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So I know before the show we talked a little bit about, you mentioned you sometimes go in and out of depression, and I, having suffered from depression for 20 odd freaking years, who also, you know, because my body really resonates with that, can go into times where I feel sad. I mean, I haven't had a real major one for a little while here, but what are some of the things you do that help you get back into the right flow for you? What are some of the things that you choose?
Well, first of all, it took me a really long time to actually admit it, that I suffered from depression.
High five on that one. I can relate to that. So much shame, right? So much shame,
Yeah.
right? Shame.
So much. Yeah. So it took me a long time to even admit it.
Yeah.
Then also another thing that I've realized I have to do is let that depression kind of flow through me. Like, I need to actually go through it.
Right.
Because for a long time my doctor wanted to put me on pills, and because I also suffer from high anxiety as well. And I just don't like pills. I don't like, I mean, sometimes I have had to take them for sure because I needed to get that chemical balance back in.
Yeah.
But I definitely didn't want to be on them for the rest of my life. So part of me, when I feel it now, because you can feel it coming on, hey, like your depression coming, you can feel it. And so now I just kind of go into it, and I just kind of let it flow through, and you know, and then eventually just come out. Like, I don't know, but I can't, the more I stop it, like the more I'm like, nope, I'm not depressed. I'm not, nope. And I don't admit it, then it gets worse.
Yeah.
But if I just settle into it for a bit,
yeah, and
then come out the other side, be uncomfortable for a bit, and then come out the other side, and then that's when the gratitude starts again over. Like, you gotta start being thankful and grateful, and you know, so that kind of pulls me out, and then just to be grateful for what I have. I mean, I have an awesome husband and amazing children and a house to live in, you know, like so things just kind of,
that's like, sounds like you start to give yourself a little bit of perspective in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. And to realize, like, okay, first of all, I'm not the only person in the world that suffers from depression and anxiety.
No. Yeah.
And because I feel like sometimes you feel alone, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
And there's only a select few friends in my life that I actually trust enough to turn to.
Yeah.
Like those friendships are really important, and those people know who they are, who know the true Lannis, like who know through me, right? So that's really important too, is having people that.
I just want to interrupt you for a second because I want to recap those three things you just said, because I think they're so incredibly powerful, especially so that if people are watching this and, you know, they're suffering from depression, what the three things that you already mentioned, because from my own personal lived experience of what you're talking about, like my depression, and also having worked with clients and gone through that coaching course where I learned about all these different tools, what you're talking about really is some of the crux of helping yourself come out of that hole, right? So the first thing you said was you choose to relax into it.
Yeah.
So instead of denying it, resisting it, pushing away, fighting, there's a level of acceptance.
Yeah.
You allow yourself, you become aware of being depressed, and then you accept it. Yeah. This is a big key to moving through any challenging emotion, because what we often do is we're aware that we feel uncomfortable, then we're like, no, like we run, we
push it.
We smoke pot, we drink alcohol, we shop, we do whatever we can to run. What you're talking about is the acceptance piece, the relaxing into it and allowing it to be. That's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So step number one, relaxing into it, accepting it, allowing it to be.
Yeah.
The next thing you talked about was doing some positive self-talk. Was that what you were about gratitude, about talking to yourself about all the things that you are grateful for, the things that you actually have in your life, the things that you know could lift your spirits a bit if you were able to really bring your attention to that. That was the second, that right? And then the third thing you mentioned, which, you know, there's a doctor that I listened to at one point, and his talk was something totally unrelated to what we're talking about today. I think he was talking about birthing or something. But he said, what was his exact words? The currency of wellness is connection. And that's the third thing you talked about. You have support. You have 2 or 3 friends that know you for who you really are, that you turn to when you're feeling challenged, that you reach out to.
Yeah. Yeah. And they do the same with me, right?
Right.
And yeah, and I think like a lot of people know the fun, outgoing, like jokey Lan, like, you know, but no one really actually knows me because I don't know. I don't know if it's a facade or if it's me just, I think I'm just whatever. It is what it is, but
I don't think it's a facade, because I have a part of me that's like that too. I mean, people probably, a lot of people may not have known how depressed I was when I was depressed. And there's a part of me that's an actress. Let's be serious. I love acting. I've been on the stage. I've been in different plays. I mean, I'm on this talk show. Like, I do these things for a reason. Like, I love that. There's a part of me that absolutely loves that. I mean, Robin Williams was so depressed he ended up killing himself, right? So the fact that he was like a comic wasn't really like his pretend self. But I also have thought that, like, am I being fake or something? But no, that's a part of me too, is that fun, kind of goofy, like whatever, you know? So, you know, I mentioned, you were going to say something.
No.
Go ahead. Yeah, no, go.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mentioned a little bit in our texting before the show, something about how I feel like there's a big correlation between being highly creative and highly sensitive and feeling depressed, you know, having that come up. Do you find anything like that in your own experience?
Yes.
Okay.
I find, well, being an artist.
Yeah.
Some of my best pieces that I've turned out, it was in my worst times of, feels like my worst times of my life, but I mean, just severely depressed. And that too pulls me out as well of depression too.
Yeah.
So for me, like, to work through it would be like doing a big piece, like a big painting, or, you know what I mean? So that it's definitely a connection for sure. Like being like creative and suffering depression for sure. There is a correlation there. Yeah.
Well, I think about all those crazy artists like that cut their ears off and did all that sort of weird shit back in the day, right? Like, well, they did, right? And they were so creative, but so tortured. Yeah. And I can still get that sort of tortured place, right? And back in 2004, and I referenced this one psychic reading I had in 2004 many times, I don't know why. And she said something to me like, you know, you're not even near your potential in terms of your creativity. And if you're not being creative, I worry about you. I worry about you getting depressed. And when she said that, I was like,
wait a minute.
Yeah, that's exactly accurate.
Yeah.
Like,
that's awesome. But then now that you've held on to that for
13 years.
Years, yeah. That's funny how just one thing can flick that switch, right?
Yeah. Well, because then I began to really consider, like, when do I feel best? When do I feel most connected with myself? I mean, I had a mentor that used to always tell me, depression is the soul's sad longing for itself.
Oh, whoa. Totally.
Right? And when you're engaged in that creative expression, you are connected to your soul.
Yeah.
Right? And so the fact that we have, I would say, an epidemic of depression, because Lan, you know, like you said, you couldn't admit it. I couldn't. I never went to see a doctor once until the very end of my depression. At the end of the 20 years was the one time I went to see a doctor about it, because of the shame. Of course, because of the shame. I didn't really want to go on pills. and because I didn't want somebody to know, and I didn't want someone to feel sorry for me, and I didn't want this and that and the other, right? So,
Yeah.
so we, right here, we're like, I don't know, being vulnerable, exposing ourselves, whatever. But there's an epidemic of it. And if
There is.
depression really is the soul's sad longing for itself, what does that mean about us as a culture?
That's if I was Oprah right now, I would say that's my aha moment. Like,
Yes.
that's honestly, wow. It is. Oh,
Yeah.
that makes me sad.
Aww.
No,
I cried
it
on my
makes me
show 2 weeks ago. I actually cried on the show 2 weeks ago.
oh it makes
Right
me
on the
want to
show.
find myself, I guess.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
I have
Truly
to say,
does, yeah.
I quit teaching in December. Okay. And I'm doing the speaking and coaching thing full time. This is not easy. Okay. I don't have a ton of clients. Right now, money is not flowing to me in the way I'd like it to flow. Doesn't mean I can pay my bills. I'm good. Right.
Yeah.
But I wanted to become a coach because I was hoping to be able to make an income higher than the one I was making as a teacher. And so far, I might barely do that this year, which is good. Don't get me wrong. It's good. Right.
Right.
The reason I'm saying this is because there's a part of me that's really struggling with doing this full time because it's a lot harder than I thought. And it's a lot harder in here. That's where the hard is. But at the same time, Lan, this work resonates so deeply with my soul that I am happier. I've been happier the last 7 months than I probably have been in the last 3 years.
Right? So
Happier.
You did make
I did. Happier overall. Like more often really happy. Okay. I'm not saying I wasn't happy in the last 3 years. I was happy in the last 3 years. I'm just saying I have this, like, I can only describe it as like down in here, there's like this bubbling of happiness that's like, oh, this is so good. I love this so much. So I should be so happy. And I've had that way more. Even though like I feel like, and this is a startup, right? The first year is always really challenging. And I've got a lot of limited beliefs that I'm working through in terms of like growing a business, how much money I can make, clients I can work, stuff like that. I'm really digging deep, like deep, deep, deep. And so even though at times it's like, oh my God, what am I doing? Even though there's that, which never happened in the last 3 years, right? That never happened. No, I was good. I was teaching. I'm the summers off, like just doing whatever. Even though there's that stuff, this stuff is way more.
It's because you found your calling.
Yeah.
You found your purpose.
Great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's funny because, last week, the girl I talked with last week, I don't know if you caught the show last week, her name's Morgan Sheets. She's a coach in Indiana. She, she was addicted to marijuana for 10 full years as a way to cope with her anxiety and depression and things like that. But what she talked about was, where is this story going? I was just talking about, what she talked about was her inability to feel her full range of emotions, when she was medicating with marijuana, and how life really is about the good and the really uncomfortable. And if you can't allow yourself to go into that really uncomfortable, you also can't experience that really good. So maybe this is normal. Maybe that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Well, I think because if you don't have the, then you don't get to experience the real joy coming out of it, right? Like, because then you realize, like, oh shit, it took me a long time to get here. Right?
Yeah.
So
interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, it's exciting, but I had come up against a lot of fear in the process, right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah. And I imagine you felt that even in terms of you allowing yourself to go into depression, because for me, when I first did that, I was super scared it would never leave. Yeah.
There's that chance. There's always that chance, I think. But you know what? It's life, right? People, you go through shitty times, you go through amazing times. Yeah. It's just, it's life. It can't be perfect all the time,
No.
right? So it's a real, just be grateful. You be grateful for all the lessons, right? The
Yeah.
good, the bad, the ugly,
Yeah.
the times that were tough.
I'm going
Times,
back to that thing where you said that you know, that saying that soul sad longing for itself made you sad, and then you feel like, oh, I got to find that. And I'm just thinking
yeah,
to myself, I wonder if any time a person feels out of alignment, like sad or whatever, if there is a message there from the very depth of you that you aren't being true to yourself on some level. So if you get angry at somebody else, it's not really the other person, but it's that maybe you weren't honest with them about what you needed at the time. You know, I'm wondering if a
right,
person could use that soul sad longing for itself in every, in even a bigger way.
right. Totally. It makes you think, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I have a question. Tell me about your
Yes.
art. I don't know much about your art.
Um, well, I see, I used to be really like, I only painted
Yeah.
and then, like big like pieces of artwork. I'm trying to think if I have one in my house I could show you.
Yeah.
But and then I got it into this like, well, I've just always been creative, right? Like I've always had the outlet of, my parents just really, I'm sure my mom could tell you when I'm from the time I was teeny tiny, I was in my room and like, so I've just always been that creative person.
Yeah.
Um, but now my husband Dustin and I fix up. We get pieces of furniture that people don't want anymore or like
Yeah.
throwing out,
Yeah.
and we fix them up and together, and so we've been redoing doing furniture together. And
That's cool. Do you have a website or anything?
well, I have Lan and Co on Facebook.
Okay.
That's my Facebook page,
Okay.
and eventually gonna open a shop here in Vernon, a Lan and
That's
Company shop.
so cool.
That's my calling, and I know that
Yeah.
100% my calling. But
Yeah.
just right now, can't really do it.
Yeah.
But I shouldn't say can't. I just need more time, I think,
Yeah.
with myself in order to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In what
So
ways? Like in terms of like feeling like it's something that you can fully commit to?
yeah, and like because it'll take some time, right? Like it's a shop, so I'm gonna have to like pull other artists in
Right.
and kind of all that stuff. So it's all the yeah, all the things you have to do to yeah. But anyways, my artwork is like my savior is
Yeah, I bet.
being able to, you know, go down into my art room and sit there for hours and do stuff.
That's awesome that you even have an art room. I'm so jealous because really underneath it, well, I shouldn't say underneath it all, maybe on the surface. I'm an artist too. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, except I took like almost a 20-year hiatus. I guess I made jewelry for 10 years, but I didn't really consider that art. I mean, I guess it was.
It is.
Yeah, it is. But I mean,
It definitely
yeah. No. It was a little too, yeah, I guess so. I have this idea, right, of what an artist is, right? And, you know, like I actually am one. I mean, I started painting again, and this is a type of art, right? Really doing this. But I would love to, I think it would help me if I did more of it. I mean, I love writing. That's one of my big things is I love writing now
yeah,
more than,
we've talked about that.
yeah. Yeah.
You're a very good writer.
Oh,
You need to
thanks.
write a yeah, and then that day I was like, you need to write a book, and you're like, I already have. I was like, oh, okay.
No, like it's in my computer. It's in my computer. It's been crossing my mind to go through and edit it because there's like, it's like a memoir of a summer I spent 2 summers ago, where there's this really tragic incident, but it involved somebody else, and I hadn't spoken to this individual in a while, and I reconnected with him, and I'm like, I don't know, you're in the book, and I didn't know if I could publish. He's like, we're gonna make millions of dollars to do it.
Do it, Shyloe.
I was like, all right, if you like, so I probably could go through and edit it and get it out there somehow. That'd be fun.
I love that. And
Yeah,
you should.
yeah. Thanks. Well, I'll encourage you too in your endeavor because I would love to come to your store.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
It'll be soon. I've been saying it. My friends are probably watching this being like, you've said it for 5 years now, Lan.
What's the biggest thing that holds you back, do you think?
What's that?
What's the biggest thing that holds you back? Is it fear of failure or?
It goes back to the whole money issue.
Oh, yeah. See, we as a culture too have this thing with money. It's never really about the money. I'm starting to realize because I just recently I guess maybe even just today had this awareness that it's about the belief. We use money as an excuse. Let me take full responsibility myself. I use money as an excuse. It's the belief. If I believed I could fully succeed at whatever it was I was investing my money in, I would just do it. It's not about the money. It's about the belief.
Yes, that's true. That's true. I should just do it.
Do it.
Yeah. So that's been on my mind for years, and it will happen when I'm ready. Maybe when the universe is ready for me to do it.
Have you looked at places yet in Vernon? Like, got an idea where you want it to be?
Yeah, I've been doing that for years. Yes, where I want it to be. Yeah.
Great. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited.
It started.
You could even like make that a creative project in and of itself. Start yourself a little blog talking about how you've been thinking about it for 5 years. Take pictures of the location. You could do like some sort of creative project, even like as you're getting it done or something. I don't know.
I should. Yeah.
It'd be fun.
I totally get that.
Yeah, if that was something that resonated with you, and then people could, see it as it like they could be part of the
development of it.
Yeah, people love stuff like that.
Yeah, I will do that.
Okay, well, we only have we're pretty much done, but how about I'll ask you that one question, and maybe you'll know the answer to it. Let me just erase what I have on the screen now. If you could give your younger version of yourself a little tidbit advice, what would that be?
To not worry so much.
Okay.
Straight up, just let it go.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. Everything. It's funny because you think this is a terrible thing, and it does, and life doesn't stop. It carries on.
Yeah.
Whether you're stuck in that feeling or whatever, life goes on.
Yeah.
So that's what I would tell my younger Lannis would say. Well, shut up and stop worrying so much.
I think that's some good advice.
Yeah.
For me, I'll even take it now.
Don't worry.
Easier said than
thanks for
done.
having me on.
Yeah. Yeah, easier said than done, but honestly, really, it could be that simple. We could just stop. Just no more. 1 year I took a vacation from worrying. I took a whole year off. It was good. Just took the year off. I was like, you know what? I'm going to table that for next year. This is the year of not worrying. And it was really awesome. Even May, my youngest would be like, Mom, remember? This is the year of not worrying. I was like, you're right. I guess I'm going to put that aside. Oh, it looks like my Mac is going to die here. So I guess that means I got to get off. But great. I'm so happy. Thank you for being on the show today, Lan. And yeah, it was great. It was awesome to get to know you a bit better. And maybe we could actually go for tea sometime in real life. That would be great. So for those of you who are still watching or just tuned in, you are watching Real Lives, Real People with Shyloe with our guest today, Lan Kelley. Oh, I guess you're on this side. No, you were on that side. Okay. And you can find me on planforjoy.com or on Facebook at Shyloe Fayad. I hope you all have a great Sunday, and we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. We've always got to end this twice. They've got 2 buttons.